Hi there, I'm Michelle.
I'm Jim, and we are
Fatigue of Your Own. Welcome to another Motivational Monday.
Let's get motivated.
Woo! This was a Toastmasters weekend.
It was also a toasty weekend.
It was a toasty weekend. Oh my goodness. Way too warm. If we have any friends up in Maine.
Yeah, we feel for you. You're even though your situation's worse than ours.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It finally cooled down.
Yes, the heat finally broke. It was after a full week. And today we're having a rather pleasant day. So it was better yesterday. It's even better today. Now we're going to hop back up for a couple of days and then it'll come back down. Actually, I think Thursday it's supposed
to be. Which is good because we're facilitating a retreat on Thursday.
Correct, yeah.
And so the weather's going to be just right.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
We can do some outside stuff.
Yes, so it's going to be nice.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Past several weeks, we've been talking about different topics that we talk about, different presentations that we give. And this week, we actually have a complimentary webinar on Friday at 12:15 p.m. Eastern time, which is 9:15 in the morning Pacific time. And it's on DISC.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, we should talk a little bit about DISC because that's one of the topics that we train a lot on. And we do a lot of work with DISC. We use it for communications training. We use it for leadership training. DISC can be very helpful when it comes to either preventing or cutting through some of the conflict that happens in organizations. DISC is very helpful when it comes to sales.
Mm-hmm.
When you're trying to figure out, how best to communicate to the customer or to your prospect. It's helpful. I've worked with some of my coaching clients, are business owners, they're small business owners, and they have difficult customers. They have difficult clients. And the reason that they're difficult is because they have very different communication styles.
Right.
And so we use DISC to help them with that. So I thought, we should talk a little bit about DISC and tell people what it is and why you would want to know more about it and how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
So if you had to describe what DISC is, what would you tell somebody?
It is a behavioral analysis tool that will show a person's preference for communication style. Mm-hmm. And with this assessment, what you're able to do is figure out what your own communication style is, how you prefer to, and your leadership styles. Well, as we have, it's leadership style as well. And you will also hopefully develop an understanding of what the other communication styles are.
Yeah.
The idea being that when you are trying to communicate with someone, one of the problems that we all have is, as John Maxwell says, everyone communicates, few connect. So we're all communicate with each other, but quite often people are talking right past each other. And a big reason for that is they are communicating in very different styles. And part of that is, people always go back to the old idea of the golden rule. Do unto others as you had done unto yourself. In communication, that means, communicate with people the way that you would want to be communicated with. But it doesn't work unless they have the same exact communication style that you do. And even then, it may not work because you have to understand those communication styles. The platinum rule works better. Communicate with people the way they want to be communicated with. Treat people the way that they want to be treated. And so once you understand the 4 styles of communication and the combinations, that's the other thing, is most people don't realize there are combinations. That's why some of the other assessment tools that are out there, there's one in particular I can think of, they have 9 different styles. Yeah. Well, those are simply combinations of what you get in DISC. The problem is when you have a system where there's 9 different ones that you have to try to remember what they are and try to read people to figure out, well, which one of these 9 do they fall into? 9 is a lot.
Well, and there's some. I'm trying to think. There's one where there's 16 different ones.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's insane.
it is.
Whereas with DISC, you have the 4 primary.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's going to fall into one of those 4. I don't think we've seen one person yet that didn't have a strong preference for one of the 4.
Correct.
That comes out of the assessment. They don't choose what it is. They do the assessment, and the assessment indicates what it is. But then you have the combinations. So like both of us, we have combinations. And what you'll find is that they prefer to communicate in that primary style, but that secondary style will crop up,
Mm-hmm.
particularly in stressful situations.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the key is to focus on the primary.
Yeah.
If you can figure out the primary, then you will know basically how to communicate with that person.
And like you said, there's 4 different styles.
4 different
When it
styles.
comes to communication, when it comes to leadership, 4 different styles. And DISC is an acronym for them. So D is dominant or driven.
Mhm.
I is influencing or innovative. S is sincere or
Steady.
steady. C is compliant or conscientious. So you've got all 4 of those preferences when it comes to communicating and leading. And like you said, when push comes to shove, you're going to go to one of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reality. Is if you're under a lot of stress, if you're under a lot of pressure, if you need to get something done quickly, you're going to instantly turn to one of them, and that's your true preferred style.
Right.
The whole thing about DISC is learning how best to communicate or lead with those styles.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have your own preferences, we have our own preferences. Everybody out there has their own preferences. What are those styles, and how can I best communicate or lead you based on what you want as opposed to what I want? And that's what DISC helps you to do. It helps you to connect with people around you by focusing on what they want as opposed to what you want.
Right. It also means that, once you recognize that person's style, you have to adapt what you're doing, how you're communicating
Mm-hmm.
to their style. Sometimes that may mean totally suppressing
Mm-hmm.
your own style. And I know that probably more than most folks, because there are the 4 styles, and I fall into the category of I's, influencers.
Mm-hmm.
Thing about influencers, they're the kinds of people that they're usually very outgoing. They're very talkative. They like to get to know people. And with an I, when you're communicating with an I, the best thing to do is ask questions and shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. I know this because as an I, if somebody's talking to me and they're talking in my preferred style to me, that's exactly what they'll do. Because eyes are constantly thinking about what they want to say next. And they love to talk about themselves and the things going on around them. So I have had to learn over the years that when I encounter another influencer, I have to suppress my inner I and become basically an interviewer.
Yeah.
As opposed to an interviewee, which is usually what eyes end up being. And to do that, I had to learn to ask questions and then shut up, which is a difficult thing for me to do.
Yes, it is.
But that's how I can have meaningful connections with fellow eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Also means, like with the drivers, the Ds,
Mm-hmm.
give them the amount of information that they need and move on.
Yeah, the thing about Ds is Ds usually are looking for a decision.
Yes. They like to do things
They're very decisive.
quickly.
And the thing about Ds is if you can't come up with a decision, they'll make it for you.
Yeah, they'll make it for you. And you may not like it when they're done.
So when you're working with D's, because D's are the types of people who just want to get things done. They want to move on. They've got lots to do. And so one of the things to keep in mind is you need to get to the bottom line quickly. You need to tell them, you know, here's what the plan is. Go do the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Poof, off they go. And these are fairly easy to work with, and they're easy to recognize.
Yeah. Oh,
These are super easy to recognize. Eyes are easy to recognize.
Yes, those are two groups that they are super simple to recognize. With the D's, they have to learn when they're speaking to other people to not be so fast and direct, and to slow down and take that time to communicate, which drives them crazy. And flip side of that is with I's communicating with D's, we have to learn to get right to the point and let's move on. And so we have to suppress that natural tendency or desire to, let's talk about, what did you do this weekend? What's going on in your life? D's don't want to discuss that. It's not that they don't care. It's just that they don't want to discuss that. They don't have time for that. They got other things to do.
Yeah.
You can talk about that afterwards.
C's can be fairly easy to recognize.
Yes.
C's are highly detail oriented.
Yes. They love data. The more information you can give them, the happier they are.
C's generally have a lot of questions for you.
Yes.
And they constantly are digging for more and more information. And C's have a difficult time making decisions because they want to make sure they get things right. And as a result, they have a hard time making decisions because they don't think they have enough information.
Right. They always want more.
That's why they're always asking you
lots
of questions. They're asking you, how things are going to work. They're asking you, what are the policies and procedures? What are, what do we have in place for this? They don't like change. Because if you're changing something, that means they have to learn an entire new process, and it may not be right. And
then these are also easy to spot because of the fact they like numbers, they tend to be attracted to numbers type industries, accounting, finance, engineering. They love to play with spreadsheets, do that kind of stuff.
You'll find a lot of architects. Now the architects that actually do the work, not the ones that have the big vision, because those tend to be more eyes.
Yeah, they're eyes and D's.
But the ones that actually want to make sure that the structures are sound.
Yep.
Like you said, engineering, quality engineers. Oh my goodness, full of C's.
Yep.
Yes. S's.
Here's the thing about S's. They're the biggest majority of people that you'll encounter. They make up about 70% of the world. So those other three categories, about 30%. Everybody else falls into the S category. And what do S's like? What do they not like?
They don't like change. They don't like conflict.
Nope.
They don't want. Our dog is an S.
That's
Molly.
true.
Molly is an S.
I hadn't thought about that, but she's an S.
You don't want to rock the boat. You want very steady, very sincere. S's love people, and they love teams, and they're very loyal to their teams. And the thing about S's is they want to get to know you on a deeper level. I's like people too. Okay. I's love to be around people. And the reason why I's love to be around people is because they like to be the center of attention.
Yes.
And they want people to recognize what they're doing.
Yes.
S's don't want to be the center of attention. Right. They would prefer to be like in either a very small group or one-on-one with somebody. And they want to build up a strong relationship with people. They would much rather have a very small group of friends who have known each other for decades and know all the ins and outs and stuff, as opposed to a large group of friends where they walk into a room and they always know a whole bunch of people. And that's not the way that S's operate.
Nope.
So with S's, the thing about S's is they want everybody to get along. Mm-hmm. They like I said, they don't want to rock the boat. S's, they are the worker bees of the world.
They are the worker bees of the world.
They will make sure. The interesting thing about S's is they will hold you accountable for what you say you're going to do. And the reason being is because they don't want the conflict. They don't want the change to happen. So if you said you were going to do something, they'll be like, "Hey, you said you were going to do this. Why haven't you done it yet?" And so the cool thing is when you have a team of people and you've got all four of these on that team, the D's tend to be the ones that will make the decision and say, "Here's what we're going to do, go do it." And the S's come behind and start doing the work, and they're just like, "Come on, people. We all said we were going to do this. As a team, we need to pull together and we need to get things done." And so it's interesting how that works.
Yeah.
It really is. But they don't like conflict at all. In fact, they will shut down.
Yes.
If
We've seen it.
if you start to raise your voice, if they sense that there's some kind of conflict happening, they will just shut down. That's it.
Shut down. Conversation's over.
Yep. Not gonna happen.
And you resolve nothing.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
But that's the essence of DISC.
Yeah.
And the neat thing about DISC assessments is with the basic DISC assessment, it takes 10 minutes? Shouldn't take any more than 10 minutes to complete it. And there are no right or wrong answers to any of the questions. That's something that we have to point out to people when they are taking the assessment. One, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Just go with your first reaction, because that's generally going to be the correct one
For you.
Yeah. Go with your first reaction. Don't worry about what anybody else is going to think about it. Nobody's going to see it.
No.
We see the final results, but we don't see
your
the answers. We
No.
don't know what they are. It all gets processed into the report. So we tell them, go with your first instinct on each one, because usually it's this or that, this or that, this or that. Pick one. Just pick one, and realize that whatever it comes up as, that's what you are. Now, interesting thing is, you can have a different preferred communication style at home than at work. And that is often the case.
I've had that happen.
And usually we're more concerned about the work communication style. Whatever you do at home, that's up to you. There's nobody depending on your productivity at home, generally, to bring home money and make a company work.
Right.
It's your communication style at work and interacting with colleagues. And excuse me. So once people do that, you have that. If you have a more in-depth analysis, like Michelle was saying, it can give you information about your leadership style, your strengths in leadership, and those can take a little bit longer. And then we've got several assessments that cover other areas, but they're all based around DISC. It's amazing how flexible DISC can be and how many things it can be adapted to.
Yeah, there's a lot of salespeople that I've worked with before who use DISC to sell to companies, to sell to individuals. And it's because once they can figure out what their customer or their potential customers' preferred DISC communication and style is, that's what they will instantly turn to.
Right.
And it makes it very easy for them to have a conversation. It makes it very easy for them to sell using that style.
Right. That's the reason why people working in sales have to sort of be chameleons in a sense, that you have got to figure out what is this person's preferred style and then adapt to it very quickly. If you don't, you're not going to have much of a conversation on the front end of it. I know early in my sales career, I certainly did not know that. And I walked in every place being me. Well, me is this happy, outgoing I, and I'm talking to D's, and they didn't really want to talk to me because I talked entirely too much. And I didn't realize another essence of sales is if you're doing most of the talking, you probably lost already. It's a case of you want to get your client talking and knowing how to get them to start talking so they can tell you what their issues are and what it is they need resolved, what you can help them with. That is the key to the sales process.
Yeah. One of the questions that we get to when it comes to DISC is, can people change? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
over time, but mostly because of some type of life event.
Mhm.
So think about, getting married, having children, losing somebody, making a career change.
Yes.
That can have a big
Yeah.
impact.
Just moving to a different company. We
Yeah.
saw that with somebody that
Yeah.
we had conducted the disc analysis with them when they were working with one company, and they moved to another company, and we did training for that company, and they did the assessment again, and it changed. And the reason it changed is because the environment that they were in changed. They had to adapt in the first company because there was no choice. It was an environment that really was not that conducive to them and the way they communicated. When they moved to this other company, which was a better fit for them, their style changed because they could relax being into the, being able to fall into who they are within that organization.
Yep.
So yeah, it does change.
Yeah, it can.
It can change.
So
then there's some people like me where it's consistent every single time.
Yeah, and a lot of people also ask us when it comes to the DISC assessment, is this just some woo-woo? Hey, no.
Mhm.
There is scientific evidence that prove that it measures what it says it measures.
Yes.
And so if you're one of those C people who is interested in the facts and interested in the background and in the numbers are there.
Right.
The research has been done, and it actually does measure, and it's reliable. It has
a high reliability, meaning that it is consistent with the measurements, and then it also has a high level of validity, meaning that it is measuring what it is supposed to be measuring. And that's because it's been around for decades.
Yeah.
So there's been plenty of refinement to get it to that point where it is at a very high level of reliability and validity. You've got the studies available.
Yeah. So that's what DISC is. If you're interested in learning more about it, like I said, we've got a free, our complimentary monthly webinar is this coming Friday. It's at 12:15 in the afternoon Eastern time, which is 9:15 out there on the West Coast. So sign up, register. If you're interested in registering, there are several ways you can do that. We've had posts on social media. The easiest, though, is probably to go to the website and click on the events tab, and you can find the link in there to register.
Right.
Or they could contact us.
Mm-hmm.
How can they contact us?
Well, you got our website there. They could also send us an email.
Yeah.
And that's info@aleagueofyourown.com. You can call us 412-420-7975. If you do not want to speak to us on the phone, you can send us a text message. We will respond to that. We are also on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We also put all of these videos on YouTube.
Yes.
Feel free to go and browse them. I would say watch more of the recent ones than the earlier ones, unless you want to get a good laugh at what we looked like in the beginning when we started this process.
The very early ones are not on YouTube.
Oh,
they're only on Facebook.
Only on Facebook. Okay.
Yeah, because we weren't using StreamYard back then.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably for the best.
Yes, it is.
But if you ever want a good laugh, you go find those older ones.
Go to Facebook, scroll down, go all the way to the first one in March of 2020. Yeah.
Definitely been some growth in that area. Thank goodness.
Okay.
Had to be.
Yeah.
But myriad of ways to get in contact with us. Please contact us. We'd be happy to help you and talk to you, get to know you.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And then if you have any ideas for topics you'd like for us to cover in the future,
let us know.
Yeah. Send us an email. Let us know.
Yep. All right, everybody. We will see you next week. Have a fantastic week. Lots going on. Like I said, register for the complimentary webinar.
Mm-hmm.
If for some reason you're just like, oh, darn, I already have plans. That's okay. We record them.
Yeah.
We will send it out to you. So go ahead, register for it, and you will get the recording. And hopefully we'll actually see your smiling face on the screen.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It would be. All right, everybody. Have a great week. We will see you next time. Bye.